This month is American Heart Month, where the nation focuses on heart disease, the leading cause of death in the United States. Although it's a leading cause of death for all Americans, minority groups face a greater risk than their white counterparts. For example, African Americans can develop heart disease at a younger age. According to the Heart Foundation, 48% of African American women have heart disease and 44% of black men have some form of heart disease. Research has found that even among the growing middle and upper class black community, the rate of heart disease among black Americans is still greater than in white Americans who have a comparable socioeconomic status. Joining us now to discuss this is Coach Gessie Thompson, nutritionist and founder of the Detox Now, and Stephanie Johnson, Vice President of Communications and Product Strategies with the American Medical Association. Glad to have both of you. Stephanie, I want to start with you. When we talk about strategies. When we talk about where to begin. Obviously, typically for folks, this actually develops later in life, and so if we start doing things much earlier, it certainly helps us later. And so for folks who are 50 plus right now, what can they do now? And then we'll talk about folks who are much younger.
So we should be doing everything that we thank you for having me on the show, first and foremost. I really appreciate being here. But we should be doing everything that we can to be proactive. For so long, people in our community tend to deal with episodic care. So you're presenting with some pain, some ailment, and then you tend to go see a physician or what have you. But being proactive is huge. And it's not just the 50 and older. We have nearly 50% of women, Black women over the age of 20, right, that have heart disease. That is not a good statistic. And we need to be doing all that we can to be able to support Black women. And that is part of the work that I get to lead up at the AMA.
Gessie?
Yeah, so the key thing for us, when I was here last time, we talked about fibroids and how stress was a key determining factor as to why Black women disproportionately experience them. Well, it's no surprise, Roland, that actually stress is one of the differentiating factors when it comes to heart disease as well, all right? So this is actually why I'm partnering with the Release the Pressure campaign that Stephanie it's part of her brainchild, actually, because when we look at how we as a people live, we're pursuing success, and this thing is it's like a pressure cooker, this life that we're living, all right? And when we look at whether it's work, love, relationships, everything is on this grind. And think about life being like that pressure cooker. Without a release valve, it's gonna explode, right, Roland?
Yep.
So for us, when we look at the key things that are going to make the differentiators, it is the things that specifically create more time in between the decisions that we make, the things on our schedule, being intentional about actually cultivating self-care into our love, our work, our wellness, our pursuits overall, and looking at it as not something that we do as a byproduct or as something we get to do once in a while, but we do it as something that is intentionally a differentiating factor in terms of our success to create sustainable success in our lives overall, right? So that's been a key thing here with the Release the Pressure program that Stephanie created. I'd love for her to talk a little bit more about that.
One of the things that Stephanie, I do want you to speak to is, so I saw this comment just a moment ago. This guy who is Elijah James? Get off your asses and exercise, work out, and stop eating slave food. It's simple. Well, the reality is it's not simple. See, and I think people who say that, oh no, it's simple. No, actually, it's not, because there are a significant number of things impacting us that are also hereditary. Okay, that we're born with, and you're not even understanding what your history is. Two, if you're living in areas where you have food deserts, it's not that simple. If you don't have the transportation to be able to go to a place to buy fresh fruits and vegetables, you can't augment or change your diet. And so, absolutely, you have personal responsibility in terms of what you can do. But we also have to factor in there are external factors that have nothing to do with your ability to maybe just get up and do it yourself. There are other things that have to also change in our communities.
Yes. Absolutely right. There are structural barriers that we have to overcome in order for us to have better outcomes. And that's what Release the Pressure is all about. Release the Pressure is personal for me because my mom suffered from congestive heart failure and she passed away from it last year. I actually had my sister pass away 3 weeks prior to my mom from stroke. So it is something that has been prevalent in my family, and I have wanted to be proactive in ensuring that more women don't have to succumb to heart disease, that they can be proactive. And you're right, and Coach Gessie alluded to this, all of these other factors that overlay just our everyday day living as Black people that contributes to the stress, like this pressure cooker that she alluded to. So it is important that we do the things that allow our that we take steps towards self-care, and we take time each day to release the pressures that bog us down. I watched my mom work 2 to 3 jobs. Rarely did I get her to see her doing some of the things that I incorporate into my life now, so that my daughter can see me do those things. Counting the 10, relaxing, meditation, going for walks, but frequently taking time for self-care and teaching my daughter now that self-care is an act of self-love.
All right, let's go to our panel for questions. I'll start with Julian Melvo.
So you talked about the pressure cooker that so many of us, Black women, Black people, live in. Much of it is external. It's not internal. Much of it is about the environment in which we live. How can we empower ourselves to change that environment, or at least to survive in an environment that we know is hostile?
I love that question because, it's really about squatting up, in terms of getting who our tribe is, who we surround ourselves with, and the kind of practices that we build into our everyday lives. All right. Because what you said is key. External factors are going to happen and they are going to be the same, right? Like I listened to the piece earlier about political social determinants and all the things that affect our environment. And, we do have to collaborate, galvanize, and activate our voices to exert our power and make change to that. But you know what we can change every day? Every day we can be very intentional about the toxicity we allow in our lives, everything from relationships to the food that we're eating to specifically, when we look at the thing that we're doing this Saturday, we're having an event called the Galentine's Day National Virtual Vision Board Party. And, everybody's done vision boarding at the top of the year, right? But the key thing is, have you actually thought about your life with regards to building self-care into it? That means saying, wait a minute, what do I need to take off my plate? Because the truth is, it's taking me away from my long-term goals, not just in terms of success, right? But in terms of taking care of my heart health. Am I building the time into my calendar to actually go see my doctor for wellness visits? Am I building the time into my calendar to have that what we say self-love as a form of resistance, where I'm having time with my girlfriends, right? Or my family members specifically, to build that care into my relationships. So it sounds like it's very minor, but actually when you look at it, most people live their lives on this have to conveyor belt, and they feel like it's nonstop. And what we're saying is, you have more power than you think. When I was here last time, I talked about the social determinants and how 80% of our health is actually determined by 20% of the things, right? It's determined by the things that we have control in, the things we have control over. And it's about harnessing that power.
Next question, Ben.
Yeah, my question really hinges on this reality of being Black in America. James Baldwin said, "To be Black and to be conscious is to be at a constant state of rage." How do you recommend we process that if we don't have, of course, exercise and eating right, but just in general, what techniques do you recommend? Because we're consuming a lot of Black death and a lot of Black violence against Black people. And I'm going to be honest with you, it has taken a toll on me. So I'm asking for a friend, and I'm that friend.
Stephanie, do you want to jump in here?
Absolutely. We are not immune to what is happening to us extrinsically. There are things that are going on in our bodies when we see things on national television, like the death or the murder of George Floyd, when we saw the insurrection on the Capitol. Those are things that you cannot compartmentalize. I remember what happened where I was in the middle of work when the insurrection happened. And I remember people wanting me to get on a call just to go about my everyday meeting, and me saying, wait a minute, time out. I cannot take, I can't take this call. There is something happening on the Capitol. My young daughter doesn't understand. Heck, I don't understand it as an adult. So I'm going to have to take time. I'm going to have to pause. I'm going to have to process. I'm going to have to pray. I'm going to have to get on the phone with some of my squad, and I'm going to have to talk through this thing. But I could feel myself getting elevated and elevated. So yes, you have to take time when matters are happening, that you don't ignore them, but things can wait until you give yourself time to show yourself some love. Coach Gessie, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that time includes, fasting from social media for maybe it could be a 24-hour period. It can also include scheduling time with a therapist, okay? Because the truth is, we are all going through a massive trauma. Okay. And I'm not trying to generalize it. It's very real, especially as Black people in America, as you said, right? So we have to say, hey, wait a minute, I have to schedule time for me. So it goes back now to that schedule, right? Am I going to value what I need to reset, what I need to just give myself that pause button, right? To take, whether it's deep breathing or take my mind off of this and watch something that's just going to edify me, be in a conversation with people who are just it could be crying together. It could be, talking about, like, sometimes I will, who's a release valve for me sometimes? I'll text Roland. Roland, is this not true? And he'll just say, white people. And I'll say, that's it. It's the truth. And you have to have that squad of people that you laugh because you know it's real, right? You have to have that squad of people that you say, you know what? This is part of my resistance, is my self-care, and saying, you know what? I need to take time for me. And what that looks like is everything from, today I am clearing my schedule, and I'm only going to do what's the Pareto principle? 80% of the things have 20% of the impact. I'll pray in the morning, like, what's going on with me today, God? Prayer is a big deal. What do I need today to fulfill the purpose you have for me today? And sometimes that means clearing my calendar, right? Clearing the calendar and saying, today I just need to listen to some Bishop Jakes. I just need to I was listening, in fact, Roland, yesterday, I was listening to that Tyler Perry masterclass that he posted from the NABJ event. And that was just feeding me. Because sometimes we have to pause the thing that's assaulting us, which is unfortunately life, right? And we have to hit that pause button and say, okay, I need to do what is going to actually feed me right now, what is actually going to build me up right now, because I've had a lot of withdrawals. And I feel like I'm literally in this steady, what do you call it, transfusion, and nobody's giving back. I got to take time to give back to me.
Yes.
Avis.
What's happening to Black people's health has got to stop, which is why we form Release the Pressure. And it's a group of us, right? The American Medical Association, you have the American Heart Association, we have the Association of Black Cardiologists, we have the National Medical Association, the Minority Health Institute. We are serious about changing health outcomes in Black communities for the better. COVID-19 has helped shed a light on what happens to individuals when they have these underlying pre-existing conditions, and we need to focus. So that's what Release the Pressure is all about, bringing resources, not just a campaign slogan, but resources to Black women so that they have things available to them, putting them in close proximity to physicians of color so that they see them and have access. So that's all so important because we are on a trajectory toward change. And that means better health care for ourselves and those we love. And that's what Release the Pressure really is all about.
Well, I got like one person, Tennessee Strong on YouTube, said I'm 39, had a double bypass 2 years ago. So let's final question from Avis. We got about 90 seconds left. Avis, go.
Sure. So, in addition to all of the other traumas, and I think that's aptly put, that we have to face every day, just as being back Black and surviving in America, we are living in this unprecedented time where, for example,
Mhm.
we're facing this pandemic. We're 3 times more likely to be diagnosed, twice as likely to die. So a lot of us are just plain dealing with grief. A lot of us are dealing with health challenges. A lot of us, in
Mhm.
addition to that, are dealing with employment challenges or business challenges, as we just spoke about previously. So my question to you is how do we handle these new very unique stresses on top of everything else that we're facing?
Real quick,
Avis,
about
Dr.
45 seconds each.
Avis,
Go ahead.
you take it one moment at a time. And what I mean by that is because right now I can't handle all 10 of those. I have to handle the one right now that is really having the most impact on me, right? So, if we can, I do want to end just inviting everybody to register for this event that we're doing on Saturday. It's a free virtual vision board party and it's national and it's with guests, live music, because live music helps us to unwind. I hear Roland Martin's jams in the car all the time. Live music does that with Olivia Dope. Angela Yee, she's going to be my guest. I'm hosting the event. And it's really to help you ladies, sisters, to please take time just for you. And we have amazing wellness giveaways for you as well, including some stuff from this beautiful skincare box that we'll be giving away to hundreds of people. So it's time for you. That's what it is, Dr. Avis. Time for you every day. Find something that matters that's going to deposit in you. And over time, that's how we're going to make it.
Yeah, and remind yourself that our ancestors, right, dealt with things just as, I mean, worse, than some of
Worse.
the we're being exposed to, and we are creating a place and a special space for Black women right now to be able to lean on one another, just like we did during civil rights, just like we've done through so many things that it has impacted Black men and women over the generations. So let's lean into that together, like Coach Gessie said, and join us, and let's create a healthier vision of what our future looks like for us and our kids.
All right, folks. We surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it.